Well, hey folks, Species7 here. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to Farm Sim 19. Yes, I am still harvesting our ginormous wheat field. Amazing how far you can jump now, eh? Whee! I feel almost acrobatic. So, I have been tweaking around with things on the computer here, because I was in conversation with a very long-time viewer, really nice guy too, Delirious. I think he's been around since I've been putting up FS15 videos, actually. So, but he was telling me he gets a steady 60 frame. You know, occasionally you'll see a little twitch down to the high 40s. Yeah. I'm so far off of that, you know, that I think, well, these people are obviously running, you know, 6 or 8 gig video cards that are a series or two ahead of me. Well, I run an i5 6700K for a processor. So, I mean, it's last generation. I run a GTX 1050 Ti graphics card. Again, I mean, it's a 4 gig graphics card, though. I do have the 4 gig version. And I run 12 gigs of RAM. Now, never mind the speed of the RAM, because if you're not overclocked, it's all the same. Yeah. For those of you that are not aware of that, if you're thinking of buying computer parts, understand that. Alright, if you pay big dollars because a RAM claims it's, you know, 3200 megahertz, etc., etc., it's exactly the same 2366 as the low-end garbage. Well, I won't call it garbage, man. For the price of RAM, I'd take anything and not call it garbage. But, so it will overclock to 3200, providing you have the motherboard, the power supply, everything else it takes to stably overclock something that far. So at any rate, straight up apples and apples, I have 50% more RAM than my buddy Delirious. He is running a processor that is 2 generations behind mine. And he's only running a GT, not even a GTX, a GT 950. So again, I run a 1054 gig. Now, I believe, I may be wrong here, but I do believe that the 950 is only a 2 gig. And like I said, he runs 8 gigs of RAM, I run 12. And I run a much quicker processor. And there's no way I get 60 frames. Now, I do when I'm not in a vehicle. Okay, you'll see I'm at pretty much a, well, I wouldn't say steady, but close to steady 30 frames. Right? As soon as I get out of that thing, now when I look around, although the movement really kills it too, but I mean, I get much better frames outside of vehicles than in. Even though I think this is about as outside a vehicle as you can get without actually being, you know, outside of the vehicle. But yeah. So, I did my due diligence. I Googled the heck out of things. And I found some interesting tweaks for my NVIDIA control panel settings. Most of them were set up about as optimal as you can go to start with. I also found some straight up display settings that help a little bit, usually. You know, that sort of thing. Pretty much anything and everything I could, you know, find that's supposed to help with getting gaming to look a little less gamey. And it didn't seem that a lot of things were helping, you know. Might have got a little bit of an improvement, but I mean, still not very freaking much, let me tell you. And I thought, well, why is it I'm still getting less performance than someone running considerably lesser hardware? I was watching a video the other day on YouTube. Now, I generally tend to watch Hardware Canucks, Linus Tech Tips, and, well, the Linus Media channel. He's got a couple of different ones. But, as well as Paul's Hardware. And somewhere I got connected to a video that was talking about the new computers that Walmart is carrying, okay? And so Buddy actually went and bought one. In fact, he bought the top of the line one, although they shipped him the wrong bloody computer. They shipped him the lower range one. It didn't make him too happy, as you might be able to imagine. But the interesting thing, and this kind of rang a bell, things just all of a sudden started to resonate, was that the motherboard that came on it was a gigabyte, as mine is, and I believe it was a 310H or something like that, right? But it has exactly the same. Now, because it's 3-4 years newer than mine, I have the 110H. Now, and believe me, it's nothing to brag about, mate. The interesting thing that I wasn't aware of, now I mean, I know it's about as entry-level as Gigabyte even builds a motherboard, you know, and you gotta expect it. I bought a pre-built system that wasn't, where the heck did I turn that way for? It wasn't high-end. I bought what I could afford, right? Now, what I found interesting about the motherboard, I don't know how much you guys know about the tech end of this or whether you even care, but basically, the chipset that's on it doesn't really support the other things that are running on it. Like, it doesn't have the bandwidth. It's single channel RAM and doesn't actually have anywhere near the bandwidth that even the most base set DDR4 runs at. So that's kind of crippling. And in fact, it's the same way across all of the bus lines. It's kind of you're starting out, you know, almost like you might as well shave an entire generation off your CPU, your GPU, your, you know, volatile memory, pretty much everything, as far as I know, probably even data transfer to your drives. You know, which means even my shiny SSD, well, it was a shiny SSD a year or so ago when I bought it, is probably not performing to the levels it should be. Now, I have often, in fact, since I received the computer and realized that it was, in fact, only 2 RAM slots. Because keep in mind, I don't know if you guys remember, but at one point I ordered a 16 gig kit. Okay, I had 8 gigs in the machine. That's what it came with, 2 4-gig sticks. Pretty standard for that sort of thing, unless again you were willing to pay the big bucks. But it came with 2 4-gig sticks, so I ordered a set of 2 8-gig sticks, Corsair Vengeance to be exact, and put those in. Lo and behold, I had 16 gigs for about a month, maybe a little less. And then, oddly enough, one of the sticks failed. I started getting weird errors and yada yada yada, and since that was the only thing that had changed as of late, it was the first thing I checked, and sure enough, as soon as I pulled the one stick of RAM out and stuck a 4 gig in, everything lit back up and ran properly, which is why I'm running one 8 gig and one 4 gig stick for a total of 12. Now, I'm also curious now as to whether the real issue with that RAM stick not working was, again, the fact that the chipset doesn't really support what's going on. So, but yeah, ever since I discovered there was only 2 slots, I thought quite seriously that, you know, maybe you should consider replacing the motherboard. But then I kind of got it into my head that if I was going to do that, since I'm already, okay, this is almost full. It's a weird number, like 3540. There we go. But yeah, since, you know, my processor is already a generation, well, 2 now, actually. Stop, please. 2 now. That I would go with my preferences and try and start saving for an AMD rig. Well, obviously, if you've got to replace both processor and board, you're looking at a bunch more money. But I'm wondering if it's not well worth my efforts to upgrade my motherboard, you know, to a Z270 chipset or something like that. I mean, even the fact that they shipped my computer with an unlocked processor, it is a 66 or a 6700K. And I didn't mean to actually turn that back on. That, you know, I guess I should have looked a little more closely into what else might have been slightly askew with this whole motherboard deal. I think that's as far back as I missed crop there. Okay. I'm just going to grab that just because, well, you know. That's the way I am. I don't like to leave this here. There we go. It's not much, of course. Oh, that trailer is now full. I see. Alrighty. Okay, well, I can do that. So yeah, I don't know that there's any other sort of little software-y tweaks I can do. But I mean, keep in mind, I've got the detailing and stuff on this turned down pretty darn low, too. You know, like, considerably less than it would be I actually want to be playing it at. You know. And yeah, I've tried without any, you know, recording software running, etc. And although it's a little steadier, it's still no raving heck, believe me. It is not. So yeah, just a little sort of inside info on what's going on. But yeah, I did, spend a good portion of time trying to sort out why. You know. And why my potato's not even as good as potatoes that are not even as good as it. So, but at any rate, I guess that'll be a project for another time. I have already spent me extras. Got that capture card on the way, and that is going to help a lot. Maybe not with this one as much, because, as I said, I am having a little bit of an issue running it. But certainly some of the other stuff that I run that is much more impacted by my CPU usage. I don't think Farm Sim is all that much for some reason. I could be wrong. I mean, I would think to have as much going on as it does. I mean, you know, there's, you know, how many individual little plants waving in this field alone? You know, I remember a time when even rendering grass would have been enough to kill most systems. So yeah, I suppose that my next project will be to try and get myself a better board. I kept thinking with, you know, as I fall farther and further behind in generation, that I would find better and better deals on them, but unfortunately not. The boards I was looking at when I first realized the limitations of this one, which is 2 years ago now, oddly enough, are within 10% of the same price they were then, even though both Ryzen and Intel have released, well, a couple of generations. So, there you go. Whoa, 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 I hate that. The brakes are so bad. Because I just destroyed a huge amount of crop. Man. Alright. Well, that's all we can get into this trailer. It wouldn't even take what was in there last time. So, let's go and empty this guy. Yes, indeed. So I want to get some critters. Oh, yeah, and unfortunately the rest of everything I have is going to be tied up because, once again, I need to take one of my kitties into the vet. This time it's Dixie, where Dexter scratched her head there a week or so ago. Well, I guess as is. It's this one and this one, actually. So common with cat scratches. I guess it is infected a little bit. And, I mean, I've been cleaning it and I've been treating it properly and stuff, but I guess there might be a little bit of litter or something in there that's causing issues. And because it's, you know, mere centimeters above her eye, well, I don't want to end up with a kitty that's blind in one eye just because I'm too cheap to take her to the vet. So yeah, come tomorrow morning I will be making an appointment, which is at least $100 out of your pocket just for them to look at you. Yeah. So, I am curious, fellow. I am. Because, well, you know, for one thing, we haven't spent any money this episode. So, so we've got a doghouse. Care less. They got no kitties. I don't care. So chicken coop, 20K. And that'll... it doesn't say. Oh, I see. Is that 100 chickens and 400 chickens? Holy smokes, that is a large coop. 400 chickens. Cow pastures. Horse paddock. Yeah, that'll be the day. Large piggy enclosure, 90K and 250. Sheep, 65,000, eh? And it looks like they require, what is that? Hay grass or straw grass and water, or oh, and that's just the little one. That'll give us 80 sheep. That's probably pretty good, eh? Collides with an object, eh? Oh yeah, they don't mind if I put it in the middle of my beet field, do they? Huh. Really? Really, eh? Mind you, look at that, eh? Look at how much it's going to cost me to place it. Terrain cannot be deformed here. 130,000, 170, 200 something at that end. Wow. What object is it colliding with? That's about the cheapest I've seen so far. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be anywhere else I can put it. This is, well, that's our cornfield. And I could put it up here, and it's really cheap, 65K. I'd never be able to get into it at that angle, though. And how about down here? No, eh? Wow, 200 something. Oh, look, right there, 65,000. If I was to take up part of that field. Interesting. How about, there's a very small area where it'll actually work, like right there. That does look awfully steep coming off that bank. Huh. Well, maybe what I'll do is, oh, I already drove the tractor back? No, I didn't. It's right behind me. Maybe what I'll do is I'll think about doing that when the rest of the field's cleared, because it might be a little better off to put it on this end. The other end's really got quite the cant to it. Like, I mean, I might go, well, I can't drive up there. So, yeah. But, oh, the pipe's not out. Well, that's handy, isn't it? So, yeah, I would like to get some livestock going. Really? I was standing 6 inches from the seat, and you put me in the wrong vehicle. Come on. Whoa. Really? It actually hit the trailer. Huh. Well, it's not so good, is it? I wonder where it hit it. Oh, I guess because of the angle we're at. Look at that. I think if I was to start again, I wouldn't pick their starting spot. You know? I think I'd find a different piece of property. Okay. Let's bring the pipe in. And let's get her going. I'm tired of swerving there. I'm just going to make it a straight line. There we go. Oops. Face the front. Yeah, so if any of you have a used Z270 board kicking around that you want to sell cheap, I'll give you my address. I'm just kidding. After the new year, I think I will make it a project to try and get the rest of the poor potato here up to snuff. You know, as I said, I did want to switch to a Ryzen system, but the processor I've got is perfectly fine. As I said, it is an i5 6700K, so it's not like it's a complete jamma. You know, it is I think 4-core, 4-thread, whatever. So, you know, might even be 4 and 8. I don't remember. Well, yeah, put it on a proper board, be able to overclock it a little bit. I don't know that my 1050 will overclock that well, because it is one of the ones, and I did it again when I upgraded my card. I purposely did it that way. It is one of the ones that doesn't require any power connector. Yeah, because my first panic when I got the computer was to upgrade the video card, which, oddly enough, Delirious, was a 950 that came in it. Probably the exact same card you're running. So I went out and bought an Asus, what they call the Asus Dual. It's much smaller than my 950, but requires no power. So I guess as a lot of the 1050s didn't. But I knew darn well that if the rest of the machine was what it was, that the power supply was probably pretty hopeless, and indeed it was that bad and worse. So, but when I first got the card, I was very conscious of how poor the power supply might be. I have, of course, since then bought myself a Thermaltake power supply. You know, it's only a bronze rated, but it is an 80 plus. And it has more than enough power to run things. So I should be able to do a little bit of tweaking on the video card as well. But I think just taking the restrictors off everything by not having a chipset that won't really run things at their proper speeds is probably going to make a huge, huge difference. So, but anyway, I guess I've rambled on about computers for 26 minutes now. And very little about farming. Big shout out to my buddy Driz. He's got a couple more episodes of Farm Sim 19 up. Interesting stuff to watch. He's also going through the various teething pains of the game, as we are all, I suppose. Well, except for Delirious. Yes, I'm so jealous. But hope your X52 arrived by now, buddy. I will be interested to see what sort of success you have with getting that to run 19, and whether you're going to be able to run the entire game from your HOTAS, or whether it's going to be you know, a wheel and stick or blah 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 type of combo. But I look forward to it, as I'm sure you are. Although you're probably just like me when it comes to most of that stuff, not looking forward to programming the 183 buttons and functions required. Oh, I'll tell you. I mean, I can only imagine what the list for Star Citizen looks like, having set mine up for Elite Dangerous. Oh my god. It's about a 2-hour process. I mean, you can use the default ones, thankfully. I'm not sure about the 52, but the X56 actually comes with default profiles for both Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen. Which, I think, just like everyone that backs Star Citizen, is pretty brave, considering I'm not sure the game actually exists, to be honest with you. So, there you go. And I think with that, guys, I know this is probably one of the least exciting episodes you've ever seen, even of a farm sim video, and for that I do apologize. But I'm going to finish this harvest. Hopefully it's going to do well for us. And once we get some of the straw cleaned up, we'll see about throwing some animals down. I'm really looking forward to that. You guys know I like the husbandry part of this. And stop! Man. All of a sudden the thing's doing 70 miles an hour and you're leaning on the brakes as hard as you can. Good lord. They need an indicator for people like us that, you know, don't like to pay attention. Alright, let's go empty this out. I still find it funny that there's actually absolutely no throttle lag. Watch. I'm going to pin the throttle now. We immediately start. But if you oh, it won't actually turn it on if it's full. That's weird. But yeah, if you try and do that when it's full, you get like a 4-second delay. Now, I mean, maybe that's the way they work in real life. I don't know. I have never driven anything even like a combine harvester. Pretty much everything else in the game I have, but not a combine harvester. Alrighty. I believe we can get just over 2 combines full into this trailer. Nice. There we go. Pipe in, please. Okay, it should let me do it now. There we go. Okay, I'm going to pin the throttle now. Oh, she got going not too bad. Not too bad. I wonder if it also makes a difference on how much is in it. Well, that's something I'll have to play around with. But in another episode, because as I say, for now, guys, I'm going to call it here. So, thanks very much for putting up with my blathering yet again. And hopefully some of it made sense. Maybe even somewhere along the line, some of it will have helped somebody out here or there. So, there you go. Till next time, this has been Species7 for Farm Sim 19. Take care of each other, folks. And ciao for now.